In the heart of a desolate landscape, a weary farmer toils under the weight of his burdens. One fateful day, as the sun dips below the horizon, he stumbles upon an injured pilot, her presence a stark contrast to the barren earth. As he nurses her back to health, he uncovers a shocking truth. She is a millionaire, a beacon of hope that promises to alter the course of his life in ways he could never have imagined. The wind roared through the vast Oklahoma fields, a feral creature in anguish, forcing the wheat to bow and unleashing torrents of rain that sliced through the air with ferocity. Thunder roared above, rattling the aged timbers of the farmhouse, a defiant monument braving the tempest's wrath. Inside, Ethan Reed sat at the kitchen table, his fingers tightly gripping a chipped mug of black coffee, his gaze fixed on the open envelope from the bank that lay ominously before him. A final warning echoes through the silence, the specter of foreclosure looming ever closer. He'd pored over it 3 times, yet an unyielding numbness clung to him, refusing to let any emotion break through. In that moment, everything changed. A thunderous growl shattered the silence above, ominous and unsettling, echoing with a sense of impending doom. It was not the rumble of thunder. A thunderous mechanical wail pierced the air, heralding the descent of a colossal force. A crimson flash tore through the night, its brilliance eclipsed only by the thunderous roar that followed, shaking the very glass that contained it. In an instant, Blair sprang to his feet, snatching his coat, flashlight, and the weathered first aid kit, before dashing into the enveloping darkness. Outside, the rain pounded down like a relentless drum, drenching him in seconds as he sprinted toward the rear of the property. There, tendrils of smoke twisted upward, glowing a haunting orange against the encroaching darkness. He leaped over the wire fence, boots plunging into the slick, muddy ground, his breath coming in ragged gasps. What he discovered in the field left him breathless, as if the very essence of life had been snatched away. A small aircraft, a single-engine plane, lay twisted and shattered among the sprawling fields, a haunting reminder of a journey abruptly cut short. One wing lay crumpled, a testament to its violent descent, while the other dangled precariously, tethered only by a few frayed strands of metal. Flames danced hungrily at the rear, poised to engulf the fuel tank in a fiery embrace. Sparks danced in the downpour, illuminating the shattered cockpit, where, obscured by the fractured glass, a figure lay hidden. A solitary figure, a woman, stands at the edge of the world, her presence both haunting and captivating. Blair clawed his way onto the twisted wreckage, the searing heat licking at his skin as he summoned every ounce of strength to wrench open the cockpit door. It let out a deep groan, surrendering to the inevitable. The pilot hung limply, her body slumped forward, a dark stain of blood marring her forehead. Her flight suit was shredded at the leg, where a jagged shard of metal protruded in a grotesque display. Hey, Blair shouted, her voice cutting through the silence as she shook her shoulder with urgency. Do you hear my voice? She let out a low groan, teetering on the edge of consciousness. With a tender touch, he eased her from the seat, his movements deliberate and cautious, mindful of the fragile state of her injured leg. As he adjusted her weight, a piercing scream erupted from her lips, a raw, primal cry that sliced through the raging storm. The metal had sunk in deep, its cold bite leaving a mark that would not easily fade. He sensed it moving, a relentless force pressing against his very bones. God, he whispered, casting a wary glance over his shoulder at the smoke, now swirling darker and thicker in the air. He pulled her from the wreckage with desperate urgency, her blood seeping into the earth, marking their frantic escape. Once they had put enough distance between themselves and the danger, he gently laid her down beneath the sprawling branches of a mighty oak. With trembling hands, he fished his phone from his pocket, the weight of the moment pressing heavily upon him. Emergency services. How can I assist you? The call struggled to break through the howling chaos of the storm, the static crackling like distant thunder. In the heart of chaos, the sirens wailed, piercing through the thick air of urgency. Emergency services surged into action, their presence a beacon of hope amidst the turmoil. Where are you right now? In the heart of the countryside, Where the sun dips low and shadows stretch long, a voice emerges, Blair Cole, standing resolute on County Road 13, amidst the sprawling expanse of the southeast field. A plane has just crashed in my field. A tiny one. The pilot clings to life, but the wounds he bears are grave. An ambulance must be dispatched immediately. Sir, we are monitoring a fierce storm brewing in your vicinity. Response times have been thrown into disarray due to... She's bleeding out, Blair shouted, urgency lacing her voice. Her leg is pierced, a cruel reminder of the danger lurking in the shadows, and smoke billows ominously from the wreckage, curling into the air like a dark omen. The plane was on the brink of disaster. Sir, we are preparing to send a unit, but the situation is perilous. Neither air nor road rescue is feasible at this moment. We urge you to... Blair turned on her heel, urgency propelling her forward, unwilling to linger for another word. He ended the call, droplets of rain clinging to his lashes as he gazed down at the motionless figure of the woman. Frustration bubbled within him as he cursed under his breath, his fingers deftly unfastening the first aid kit. Her leg was a nightmare, a twisted mess of agony and despair. The metal had driven deep into her flesh, and with each slightest movement, a whimper of agony escaped her lips. He understood the path he must take, and a deep dread gripped his heart. He inhaled sharply, lowering himself to his knees beside her. "I need you to stay with me," he whispered, his voice barely breaking the silence, even as her eyes remained shut. "If I don't get this out, you'll bleed to death," she gasped, her fingers digging into the damp soil. Blair meticulously sterilized the area, his hands trembling, knuckles pale, as he clutched the jagged metal shard tightly. As the storm raged above, lightning crackled through the darkened sky, illuminating his face as he whispered numbers under his breath, each one a heartbeat in the chaos around him. 2, 3. He yanked with determination. The woman let out a piercing scream, her body writhing in agony as she fought against the torment that engulfed her. Crimson liquid surged over his hands, a vivid testament to the chaos that surrounded him. With urgency coursing through her veins, Blair swiftly packed the wound with gauze, wrapping it tightly with a strip of fabric torn from her own shirt. She pressed down with all her weight, determination etched on her face as she fought against the ticking clock of desperation. "Stay with me," he pleaded, his voice trembling with desperation. "Do not even think about giving up on me at this moment." Her breath came in shallow, yet steady, whispers, each one a fragile thread in the tense silence that enveloped her. The wreckage behind them hissed and crackled, flames leaping higher, more vivid than ever. Yet beneath the sprawling branches, amidst the muck and the crimson stains, Blair cradled the stranger tightly, awakening a sensation he thought had long been buried. Hope. Not for himself, but perhaps, just perhaps, for another soul. The morning crept in, draped in a shroud of gray, as ominous clouds loomed over the horizon, their weight palpable. The acrid scent of scorched earth clung stubbornly to the air, a haunting reminder of what had transpired. Within the dimly lit farmhouse, an eerie stillness enveloped the air, punctuated only by the relentless ticking of the ancient wall clock and the sporadic hiss of the kettle simmering on the stove. Nora shifted restlessly in the dimly lit guest room, a space that barely felt like one at all. The room lay in shadows, a relic of the past, once vibrant with the laughter of Blair's daughter, now a haunting echo of years gone by. The room was now a labyrinth of stacked boxes, where books with cracked spines whispered secrets of the past, and dust motes twirled gracefully in the shafts of filtered light. She stared at the ceiling, her mind momentarily blank, until the pain surged through her like a tidal wave. A sharp groan tore from her lips as she attempted to shift, her legs wailing in agony. Blair knelt beside the bed, her fingers deftly inspecting the bandage, the tension in the air palpable. "Easy," he murmured, his voice barely above a whisper. "Survival is a rare gift, and you have it in your grasp." She turned to him, her mind swirling in a haze, yet a flicker of awareness ignited within her. Where am I? The question echoed in the depths of my mind, a haunting whisper amidst the shadows that surrounded me. The sanctuary I call my own. Your descent shattered the stillness of my field. Do you not recall? I remember the storm, she said, her voice hoarse, as if the very memory clawed at her throat. Suddenly, the world around her was swallowed by an impenetrable darkness. With a steady hand, he offered her a glass of water, the cool liquid shimmering in the light, a moment suspended in time. Sip it, savoring every moment. With a sense of urgency, she lifted the glass to her lips, the liquid swirling within, and drank deeply, consuming half before reluctantly placing it back down. Your act of rescue means the world to me. What do they call you? He inquired, his voice steady yet laced with intrigue. She paused, the weight of uncertainty hanging in the air, a heartbeat stretching into eternity. Nora stood at the edge of the world, her heart pounding with anticipation. The air crackled with energy, and the shadows whispered secrets only she could hear. Every breath she took felt like a step deeper into the unknown, where destiny awaited her with open arms. A sense of unease settled in the pit of their stomach. There was something haunting in the stillness that followed. Her eyes darted to the window before she replied. Yet Blair nodded, a silent agreement settling within her, at least for the moment. In the following 2 days, Nora fought against her own body, determined to rise and reclaim her strength, even as her wounds whispered for rest and patience. Blair noticed her curiosity more than once as she lingered over his tools, her fingers gliding over the dusty aviation books lining the shelf. He watched, captivated, as she deftly disassembled and reassembled his old shortwave radio, all without a single instruction, her fascination palpable in the air. She possessed knowledge that others could only dream of. Beyond mere general knowledge lies a realm of specialized expertise, an intricate understanding of equipment, the art of flight navigation, and the critical protocols for emergencies that could mean the difference between safety and disaster. Her hands danced with the precision of a skilled mechanic, while her posture stood firm and resolute like that of a seasoned soldier. Blair stood at the kitchen window, her breath caught in her throat as she observed the figure on the porch. The morning light danced around her, illuminating the focused expression as she skillfully wielded a pocket knife, carving delicate shapes from a small block of wood. Her grip was unyielding, her balance unwavering despite the injury, and her quiet focus pierced through the chaos around her. It felt like a well-rehearsed performance. Where'd you learn to fly? He asked, his voice casual yet laced with curiosity, as he carefully changed her bandage that afternoon. Her smile flickered like a distant star, barely illuminating the shadows around her. Private instruction, ages past. It feels like an eternity since then. Your expertise with the radio, the deftness with which you wield your tools, speaks of experience that far exceeds mere hours spent in flight school. Her smile remained steadfast, yet it failed to ignite the depths of her eyes. From a young age, I discovered an uncanny ability to absorb knowledge at lightning speed. He held back, a storm of questions brewing in his mind. Yet deep within Blair, a quiet force urged him to refrain from digging deeper. It wasn't merely the fact that she had come perilously close to death on his land. It was not guilt that weighed on him. It was unlike anything else. A tug at her heart, an undeniable sensation that whatever secrets she clung to, they were bound by the chains of necessity. He recognized that sensation all too intimately. On the third night, it unfolded. As Blair stepped out to inspect the chicken coop, a flicker of movement caught his eye near the barn, stirring a sense of unease within him. A shadow lingered, unnaturally still, devoid of the rustle of wind or the stir of life. He retreated cautiously, his fingers curling around the cold metal of the shotgun hidden behind the shed wall, and began to navigate through the towering grass that whispered secrets in the wind. A shadowy figure glided toward the house, cloaked in black, clutching an object tightly. Blair lifted the barrel, her heart pounding in her chest. Halt! Don't move another inch. The figure stood motionless, caught in a moment that felt suspended in time. I commanded silence. Turn around, slowly. The man pivoted, his features partially illuminated by the silvery glow of the moon, in his early 30s, with a smooth, clean-shaven face that hinted at secrets untold. Strange to this place. His lips curled into a subtle, almost elusive smile. "Take it easy, my friend. I'm on a quest for someone elusive." A solitary figure, a woman, stands at the edge of the world, her presence both haunting and captivating. Her name was Nora. She could have gone down in the shadows just beyond the trees. "What drives you to seek her out?" "She is tied to someone of great significance." Blair's jaw tightened, a storm brewing behind her eyes. "She's a free spirit, untamed and unclaimed by any soul." The man advanced, each step echoing with purpose. Blair's gun roared to life, sending a bullet thudding into the earth just inches from his boots. I commanded, "That's close enough." The stranger raised both hands, retreating slowly, eyes wide with fear. All right. There's no reason for aggression. Yet this tale is far from its conclusion. You come back here." Blair growled, his voice low and menacing, echoing with a fierce intensity that sent a shiver down the spine. "And so it shall be." The man vanished into the shadows of the night, leaving behind a silence that hung heavy in the air. Inside the dimly lit house, Nora perched on the edge of the couch, her complexion ghostly, and her eyes wide with an unsettling intensity. "Who could it be?" she inquired, her voice laced with curiosity. Blair shut the door with a decisive thud and secured the bolt, sealing herself away from the world outside. "Is someone searching for you?" Nora remained silent, her gaze fixed on the floor, fingers tightly intertwined in her lap. "Are you ready to reveal your true self to me at last?" he whispered softly. Her gaze lifted to meet his, a tempest of guilt swirling in her eyes. "Not yet," she murmured, her voice barely breaking the silence. "Yet, before long." And Blair, in the face of every glaring red flag and each haunting unanswered question, simply nodded, as if surrendering to an unseen force. Something deep within him whispered that this was merely the beginning of an unfolding saga. As the week drew to a close, Nora found herself taking tentative steps once more, each movement a testament to her resilience. With a crutch meticulously carved and polished by Blair's skilled hands, she was slowly reclaiming her independence, one careful stride at a time. Fragments of her strength surged back, intertwining with a rekindled curiosity that beckoned her forward. Defying the command to rest, she redirected her focus to an entirely different pursuit. The vast expanse of the farm stretched out before me, a tapestry of golden fields and whispering winds, each blade of grass telling a story of its own. It began with a whisper. Her gaze fell upon a precarious tower of unopened bills resting on the kitchen counter, and with a soft yet probing tone, she inquired whether Blair had devised a method for keeping tabs on their expenses. He let out a hollow laugh, a sound that echoed with resignation, and confessed that his method was to shove the unopened ones into a drawer, clinging to the desperate hope that they would simply vanish. With a glimmer of determination in her eyes, she stepped forward, ready to take charge and bring order to the chaos, driven by a desire to lend a hand. There's no weight bearing down. 2 hours later, she had meticulously color-coded every invoice, sorted them by urgency, and crafted a spreadsheet from scratch on his old, barely functioning laptop, each keystroke echoing her determination. She meticulously recalculated the loan interest, uncovering inconsistencies that made Blair squint in disbelief, muttering under his breath, "Where the hell did you learn this stuff?" "Trial and error," she murmured, a hint of a smile playing on her lips. Countless mistakes loom large. The following day, she inquired about his crops, probing into the reason behind his relentless cycle of soy and corn, even as prices had plummeted for 3 consecutive seasons. He shrugged, a fleeting gesture that spoke volumes in the silence that enveloped them. "It's the legacy my father sowed into the earth. It's all I've ever known." Nora gazed across the expanse, a stillness enveloping her for a fleeting moment. Then she whispered, "What if you dared to explore the unknown? Exquisite greens sourced from local farms, destined for the finest farm-to-table dining experiences." Vibrant kale swayed gently in the breeze, while heirloom carrots with their rich hues peeked out from the earth. The aromatic scent of purple basil filled the air, promising a feast for the senses. Crafted in limited quantities, yet commanding a luxurious price. At first, Blair scoffed, her skepticism palpable, yet an undeniable determination flickered within her. With fervor in her eyes, she meticulously sketched a layout for a quarter-acre test plot, her pencil dancing across the napkin as she revealed the intricate math behind her vision. The relentless dance of expenses, the razor-thin margins of profit, and the ticking clock of turnaround times loom large, each element intertwining in a high-stakes game where every decision could tip the balance between success and failure. "You know," he remarked one evening as they lingered on the porch, "you speak more like a business consultant than a pilot." Nora cradled her cup, her gaze fixed on the distant horizon, where the sky met the earth in a dance of colors. "Perhaps I once embodied both sides." For the next 2 weeks, they immersed themselves in the task of rebuilding the greenhouse, their hands working in unison as they transformed the space with every nail and beam. The morning light spilled into the room, accompanied by the rich aroma of coffee and the soft touch of gloves waiting to be worn. By noon, they found themselves side by side in the earth, their hands working tirelessly to carve out rows, spread rich compost, and construct sturdy trellises. The labor was grueling, beads of sweat trickling down their brows, yet an unspoken tranquility enveloped them, a silent bond forged in the heat of their toil. In the golden light of the afternoons, they toiled in the chicken coop, mending the barn roof with laughter echoing around them, weaving dreams of selling their tangy homemade pickles. The sound of laughter flowed more freely now. So did trust, weaving its fragile threads through the shadows of uncertainty. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the field, Blair knelt beside the broken irrigation pipe, his hands stained with dirt and sweat. With a weary sigh, he finally sank onto a nearby hay bale, the weight of the day pressing down on him. Nora stepped into the scene, her hands marked with mud and grease, a testament to the chaos that surrounded them. "Have you ever considered," he murmured, "how swiftly everything can vanish?" Her gaze lingered on him, uncertainty swirling in her mind. "My wife," he whispered, his voice trembling with emotion. "It was in the bustling halls of high school where our paths first crossed, Sarah. After our daughter turned 3, illness crept into her life, casting a shadow over our once vibrant world. Illness." It surged forward with a speed that was almost blinding. Nora's expression melted into a gentle warmth. With a solemn nod, he expressed his regret. "Once I laid them to rest, my existence came to a halt, merely drifted through the motions. This land was my last refuge, and now it seems even this is slipping away from me." The silence hung thick in the air, a palpable tension that was oddly soothing. Nora stared intently at her hands, a storm of thoughts swirling in her mind. He cast a fleeting glance, his eyes heavy with the weight of his own losses. "Who are you?" With a moment's pause, she finally spoke. "It wasn't this crash that marked my first encounter with chaos. 5 years ago, I soared through the skies as a test pilot. In a small jet, chaos erupted as a malfunction struck mid-air, leaving the passengers clinging to life by a thread, their survival hanging in the balance. For more than a year, I found myself confined to the 4 walls of my home, the weight of my punishment pressing down like a heavy shroud." Blair's eyes grew wide with astonishment. "So, you returned?" As I stood there, the weight of my unspoken challenge hung in the air, and she inhaled deeply, as if preparing for the storm that was about to unfold. The situation took a turn for the worse when the firm responsible for crafting the aircraft, my father's, his name looms large, etched across half the hangars in the nation. Blair's eyes fluttered open, a moment of uncertainty hanging in the air. "Hold on. Your father possesses," Nora interrupted him softly, her voice a delicate barrier between his words and the silence that hung in the air. "Silence. Just hold it back. Not yet." She rose to her feet, shaking the dust from her hands. "This time, I was fleeing something far more sinister than the wreckage behind me. I was fleeing from the fragment of myself that had lost the ability to feel anchored." Blair stood beside her, the air thick with unspoken tension. The weight of the words hung in the air, a heavy sentence that echoed through the silence. Grounded, the finality of it struck like a thunderclap, leaving no room for argument or escape. Her gaze lingered on him, a deep and inscrutable silence hanging between them. "Indeed," she murmured softly, "I believe I am." The wind whispered through the golden wheat fields behind them, bringing with it the tantalizing scent of something uncharted and mysterious. Though the words remained unspoken, an undeniable tension hung in the air, binding them in a shared understanding. What had ignited in the dust, amidst the soil and sweat, transcended the mere act of saving a farm. The night hung heavy with an eerie stillness. At last the wind had stilled, leaving the sky a sprawling canvas of deep ink blue, adorned with a sprinkle of shimmering stars. The moon, large and luminous, draping the fields in a shimmering veil of silver, as if bestowing a quiet, sacred gift upon the land. Blair pulled 2 weathered lawn chairs from the shadows, brushing away the dust that clung to their surfaces. She positioned them side by side, just beyond the barn, where the rich aroma of freshly tilled earth hung in the air, evoking memories of seasons past. Nora moved with a slight limp, the oversized flannel jacket belonging to Blair, enveloping her small figure like a protective cocoon. Her hair was gathered loosely, wild strands dancing across her cheek in the breeze. She settled beside him, releasing a gentle sigh that seemed to carry the weight of unspoken thoughts. "I had forgotten just how silent it can be out here," she whispered, her voice barely breaking the stillness. Blair gave a solemn nod, the weight of the moment hanging in the air. "That's the one thing the world hasn't managed to steal from me." They lingered in a heavy silence, the air thick with unspoken words, while the distant hum of crickets filled the night and the occasional rustle of leaves whispered secrets in the orchard. Nora tilted her head back, her gaze following the languid journey of a satellite as it glided through the vast expanse of stars. "Have you ever gazed upward, captivated by the vastness above, and pondered how something so distant can exude such tranquility?" "At times," Blair whispered. "But then I recall, peace reveals itself in unexpected ways when seen from a closer vantage point." Her smile flickered like a dying ember. Then silence enveloped her once more. Her voice fell to a whisper as she continued. "There's something about being in the sky that feels godlike," she whispered, her eyes alight with wonder. "You soar above it all, transcending the pain, the haunting memories, the heavy burden that once held you down. But then turbulence strikes, or an engine falters, and in an instant, you're reduced to mere flesh and bone, desperately hoping the earth doesn't forsake you." Blair pivoted sharply, her gaze locking onto hers. "Are you terrified of soaring through the skies?" "No," she declared, her voice steady and resolute. "Fear grips me as I teeter on the edge, the chilling thought haunting me. What if I tumble into the abyss and discover that control was merely an illusion all along?" He extended his hand toward hers, not hurriedly, nor with longing, but with a gentle intent that seemed to seek her consent. As their fingers brushed against each other, she held her ground, refusing to retreat. His hand bore the marks of hard labor, rough and calloused, a testament to countless struggles faced and battles fought. Hers was a steady hand, marked by scars of past battles. They seemed to belong together, as if woven by fate itself. The warmth between them simmered just beneath the surface, a quiet intensity building, like embers waiting to ignite beneath a layer of ash. "I can't go back," she whispered, her voice trembling with fear, "to the world that thrives on consumption." "You don't have to," Blair replied, her voice steady yet laced with an unspoken weight. In that moment, her gaze pierced through the surface, delving deep into the essence of who he was. "Silence those words. You have no idea what it truly signifies. I understand the longing to remain," he said, his voice steady yet filled with unspoken depth. Their faces hovered inches apart, breaths intertwining in the crisp, cool air. The space between them dwindled, and for an instant, it felt fated, as if the moon itself had pulled them into its gravitational embrace. But just as his lips were about to meet hers, Nora abruptly turned her head, retreating, her breath hitching in her throat. "No," she whispered, her voice trembling with fear. "Don't," Blair whispered, her body rigid with fear. "Nora, you mustn't love me," she whispered, retreating, her eyes glimmering with unshed tears. "You have no idea who I truly am, And if you ever found out, your feelings would turn to disdain. Her fists tightened, and tears brimmed, cascading down her cheeks. I never meant to end up in this place. I was never meant to experience any emotions. I know I shouldn't linger here. She pivoted, her gait faltering as she made her way back to the house, each step weighed down by an unnameable burden that clung to her like a shadow. He remained in the chair, eyes fixed on the moon, the haunting silence amplifying the void where her hand once rested. The night, once brimming with life, now hung heavy like a void, yet deep within the lingering pain, a whisper stirred, a promise that this was not the end. Not yet. A solitary notification flickered to life, igniting a chain of events that would unravel the very fabric of reality. Blair was deep in the barn, focused on mending the fencing that bordered the west field, when suddenly his phone buzzed, breaking the stillness of the moment. He wiped his hands on his jeans, a flicker of tension in the air, and cast a wary glance at the screen. Urgent update. After more than a month shrouded in mystery, the aviation heiress has been discovered alive, igniting a whirlwind of questions and intrigue. Whispers from exclusive sources reveal that she moved through the crowd, cloaked in the guise of an ordinary civilian. His heart came to a sudden halt. The photograph that accompanied the article was strikingly vivid. It was Nora, the name that echoed in the shadows, stirring memories long buried and emotions that surged like a tide. Her presence was a spark, igniting the air with an unspoken tension that promised both danger and allure. But this was not the Nora he remembered. In the image, she emerged from the sleek silhouette of a private jet, clad in a tailored blazer and sharp sunglasses, flanked by imposing military escorts who stood like sentinels in her wake. Bold letters declared her true identity beneath the headline, Nora Everstone. Blair staggered backward, the phone slipping dangerously close to her grasp. The Everstone name echoed through the air, impossible to overlook. Thoughts surged through his mind like a tempest, each one vying for attention. Everstone, a colossal aviation empire worth billions, ruled the skies with its fleet of military jets. Recently, it had expanded its reach by acquiring 2 regional banks, one of which had coldly denied Blair's loan extension just a year prior. The very denial that had driven him to the brink of foreclosure. The name seared into the rejection letter, now nothing but ashes, echoed in his mind as he cursed it under the cloak of darkness. That name was her essence, a whisper of identity that lingered in the air. And she had been dwelling beneath his roof. He sprinted back to the house, burst through the front door, and there she was, poised in the kitchen. Her eyes widened in shock, the phone clutched tightly in her hand, her complexion drained of color. "You knew," he insisted, his voice laced with desperation. "All along, you were aware of your true self." "I was going to tell you," she said, her voice barely above a whisper, urgency lacing her words. "Yet, I found myself lost, unsure of the path ahead. Everstone." He spat the name with venom, each syllable dripping with disdain. "The very company that entombed me, that shattered every possibility of securing a loan." Nora stepped into the unknown, her heart racing with anticipation. "I had no idea they turned down your loan. I bet that thought never even crossed your mind." He snapped, his voice sharp as a blade. "Because individuals like you fail to recognize the existence of those like me. You plummet from the heavens, crashing into my existence, and now I'm expected to wear a mask of indifference, as if none of this holds any weight." "It wasn't a lie," she whispered, her voice quaking with uncertainty. "I yearned to escape, to shed my skin and become someone entirely different, if only for a fleeting moment. A presence that feels undeniably authentic." Neither a title nor a face graced the press release. Blair shook his head, a storm of thoughts swirling within him. "You arrived, claiming to be adrift in a world unknown. But the truth is, I'm the one who's been sinking beneath the waves. And I opened the door, allowing you to step into my world. I allowed you to hold significance in my life." A sudden flicker of motion beyond the window seized his attention. Black SUVs slithered up the dirt road, their dark forms resembling mechanical spiders weaving through the shadows. Shutter clicks echoed in the stillness. "They found me," Nora whispered, her voice trembling with fear. "My father had to have." The vehicles screeched to a halt in the yard, and men in suits cascaded out like a relentless tide. As one of them drew closer to the house, Their voice crackled through the radio, sending a shiver of anticipation through the air. "We have eyes on the target. The subject has been found." Nora faced Blair, her eyes brimming with unspoken urgency. "I'll share the details with you soon." Just as her words hung in the air, the door swung open, interrupting her thought. A tall figure stepped into the room, silver hair glinting under the light, a stern jaw set with determination. The likeness to Nora struck like a bolt from the blue. "It's time to go," he said, his voice chilling the air around them. "Father, no scenes to unfold. Your name has echoed through the pages of history. Your name has echoed through the pages of history." Blair faced her, the tension thick in the air. "She's not confined." "Mr. Cole," her father snapped, his voice cutting through the air like a blade. "Thank you for holding back the call to the authorities just a little longer. Yet, this has become a matter of the heart, entwined with the very fabric of family." With a firm grip, the guards flanked Nora, ushering her through the door with a mix of gentleness and authority. She cast a wary glance over her shoulder. "I never intended to cause you pain," she whispered, her voice barely breaking the silence. "You were the only genuine connection I felt in what seems like an eternity." And just like that, she vanished into thin air. The house stood desolate. The vehicles vanished into the distance, and an eerie silence enveloped the farm, heavy and oppressive, like the calm before an impending storm. Blair lingered in the doorway, paralyzed by the moment as the wind howled and rattled the porch screen, filling the air with an eerie tension. He stepped inside, a hollow shell of himself, and sank into the chair before the aging laptop. It was the same one where Nora had crafted his financial tracker, sketched out ambitious crop plans, and penned encouraging notes in the margins, each word a whisper of hope now lost in the silence. His gaze was locked onto the screen, a world of possibilities unfolding before him. With a surge of fury, he hoisted the computer high and brought it crashing down against the wall. It shattered into 1,000 pieces. The spreadsheets lay scattered, the dreams faded into shadows, and the fragments of her essence, lost forever. His chest rose and fell with intensity, his eyes burning with fervor. "No more lies," he whispered, his voice barely breaking the silence that hung heavy in the air. There would be no more saviors. The era of Everstones has come to an end. Outside, the moon ascended once more, cold and unyielding. Within those walls, Blair vowed that no one wielding power would ever again intrude upon his existence. The silence that enveloped the room after Nora's departure was not merely an emotional void. It was a palpable presence, heavy and suffocating. In a mere 48 hours, the tranquility of Blair's farm was shattered as it fell under the shadow of a temporary investigation. Authorities hinted at involvement in the shadowy concealment of a high-profile missing person. Though no charges were ever brought forth, the damage had been irrevocably inflicted. The access roads lay shrouded in an impenetrable barrier. Buyers abruptly withdrew from their contracts. The deliveries had ceased, leaving an unsettling silence in their wake. Even the neighbor who had once offered him a tractor now turned away, ignoring his desperate calls. The land, once on the cusp of revival, now lingered in a haunting stillness. Crops lay half-harvested, their promise unfulfilled, while irrigation pipes stood silent, forgotten. The greenhouse doors, locked tight by the decree of local enforcers, whispered tales of lost hope and stifled potential. Blair stood alone in the heart of his fields on the 6th day, his hands hanging limply at his sides, a silent testament to the weight of the world pressing down on him. The sky loomed gray once more, a relentless reminder of his dwindling hope. His tools lay untouched, gathering dust in the dim light of the workshop. He had never dared to enter the barn. In a moment of desperation, he hurled a half-broken mug against the wall, the shattering ceramic echoing his frustration as yet another bill arrived, its ominous red final stamp glaring back at him. Sleep eluded him then. Yet, as dawn broke, an unsettling shift hung in the air. A nondescript manila envelope lay on his porch, carefully concealed beneath a stone, as if it held secrets waiting to be uncovered. A mysterious envelope lay before her, devoid of a postmark, a name, or any indication of its origin. Within the confines of the envelope lay a solitary piece of paper, a printout, its edges slightly crinkled, hinting at secrets waiting to be uncovered. It was a blueprint for ambition. In that fleeting moment, clarity struck him like a bolt of lightning. It belonged to Nora, or perhaps a shadow of what once was, refined, polished, and sharply defined. It intricately detailed every aspect, from the meticulous crop rotation schedule to a captivating agritourism model, crafted to draw in local schools and food cooperatives. Scattered across the table were intricate graphs, scribbled margin notes bursting with insights, and a meticulously crafted list of 5 local vendors who had already been reached out to, in a way that defies explanation. In the shadowy corner lay a yellow sticky note, the unmistakable flow of her handwriting beckoning from the page. If you hold on to the belief in seeds, then take the plunge and plant them deep into the earth. Some rise only from the ashes. Anne Blair perched on the porch, the note clutched tightly in her hands, its words echoing in her mind as she read and reread, each line pulling her deeper into a whirlwind of emotions. He held back the tears. Not yet. Not yet. Yet, a fissure opened within him, unleashing a delicate, quivering heartbeat that had lain dormant for weeks. Hope flickered like a distant star, a beacon in the vast darkness, urging the weary to press on, to believe in the possibility of dawn after the longest night. Later that day, he yanked the tarp away from his tractor, revealing the machine beneath, ready for action. As darkness fell, he found himself once more lost in the rhythm of digging rows. Yet this time, he was not alone in his endeavor. With his old phone in hand, he captured a fleeting moment, standing resolutely before the vast field. Dirt clung to his hands, a testament to his toil, while determination resonated in every word he spoke. "I'm Blair Cole," he declared. "In the heart of the sprawling fields, I toil as a farmer. So much has slipped through my fingers. Yet I have witnessed the consequences that unfold when an individual clings to a belief that the world around them dismisses. If you're listening, and you hold the conviction that food should originate from genuine hands and untainted earth, I implore you to join me in this quest. It's not my path. For this farm, a world of secrets lies beneath the surface, waiting to be uncovered. For what it has yet to become." He uploaded the video to a crowdfunding platform, then slipped into bed, his heart heavy with uncertainty. As dawn broke, the post had already spread like wildfire, shared 3,000 times across the digital landscape. As the week drew to a close, an overwhelming tide of donations surged in from every corner, each contribution a testament to the cause's growing momentum. Longtime companions, faceless benefactors, and a handful of eateries from the neighboring county that still whispered Nora's name, yet chose to forget the shadows of her past. In a remarkable display of community spirit, local high school students rallied together, ready to lend their hands to the monumental task of rebuilding. A retired teacher stood ready to share their wisdom, promising to guide young interns on site, should the dream of the education center ever materialize. And Blair toiled relentlessly. With blistered palms and sweat-soaked shirts, he transformed relentless struggle into a bountiful harvest, nurturing each seed with unwavering determination. As the grand opening approached, the day broke with a radiant warmth, the sun casting a golden glow that made the world shimmer, igniting a palpable sense of possibility in the air. Dozens of passionate volunteers and fervent supporters converged at the revitalized land, a place that had once stood on the brink of ruin. The freshly painted sign above the archway gleamed in the sunlight, proclaiming boldly, "Farm of Freedom." It transcended mere identification. It was a vow, a binding commitment that echoed in the depths of the heart. Blair stood near the small wooden stage, clad in his familiar flannel and jeans. Yet, for the first time in months, an undeniable calm strength radiated from his posture. His hands bore the marks of hard labor, calloused and worn, his shirt a tapestry of stains. Yet as he gazed upon the fruits of his toil, rows of vibrant vegetables, a greenhouse alive with the hum of nature, a quaint outdoor classroom beckoning to children, an overwhelming sense of pride surged within him. The community had gathered in numbers that took him by surprise. Farmers, students, teachers, Reporters and families alike had each contributed a humble $5. Yet they gathered with eager anticipation to witness the remarkable transformation their seeds of support had nurtured. As he approached the microphone, Blair cast a quick glance at the crowd, his heart racing with an intensity that felt almost electric. His gaze roamed over the crowd, lingering on familiar faces and strangers alike, yet his heart raced with the absence of the one face he desperately sought. Yet he found his voice. This land was once everything to me. Everything was crumbling around me, and I felt myself slipping away too. After losing faith in humanity and swearing off second chances, fate intervened when someone unexpectedly crashed into my life, turning everything upside down. She whispered to me that what appears to be an ending could very well be the threshold to something far more extraordinary. The crowd erupted into a soft wave of applause, their hands rising and falling like the tide, each clap echoing with anticipation and reverence. Blair nodded in gratitude, lingering on the edge, hesitant to descend just yet. His gaze swept over the back rows once more, searching for something hidden in the shadows. In that moment, his gaze locked onto her. She lingered on the fringes, a wide-brimmed straw hat casting shadows over her features. Yet he was certain he could recognize her in any crowd. Nora stood at the edge of the world, her heart racing as the wind whipped through her hair. The horizon stretched endlessly before her, a canvas of possibilities waiting to be explored. With each breath, she felt the weight of her dreams pressing against her chest, urging her to take that first step into the unknown. The air crackled with anticipation, and in that moment, everything changed. As the applause faded into silence, she took a bold step forward. Her gait was steady and confident, yet there was a newfound softness that lingered in her steps. She had cast aside the veil of authority and hidden truths. She existed in her own essence, a singular force of nature. As she stepped onto the stage, her gaze locked onto his, and she inhaled deeply, bracing herself for what was to come. "I've spent my entire life conforming to expectations," she confessed, her voice a soft yet unwavering whisper, achieving a vision crafted by another's standards of triumph, claiming glory, emerging from the jaws of disaster, feigning that I was whole. Blair stood frozen, a statue caught in the grip of an unseen force. The crowd edged closer, anticipation crackling in the air. "Yet the one who rescued me," she went on, "never demanded that I prove a thing. He offered me the freedom to wander, to embrace my emotions, to mend my wounds." Their gazes locked in a silent exchange, a moment suspended in time. "For far too long, I have been a shadow of my father's legacy. Now I yearn to exist for the man who rescued me from the flames and returned me to the soil." Silence enveloped the farm, thick and palpable, as if the very air held its breath. Then Blair stepped forward, his arms enveloping her with a conviction that banished every doubt he had ever harbored. The crowd surged with thunderous applause, a wave of sound that filled the air with electric energy. Cheers erupted from the crowd. Others blinked back tears. In that fleeting instant beneath the expansive Oklahoma sky, the weight of the past and its treacheries slipped away, becoming mere shadows on the horizon. What lay before them was a vibrant expanse, teeming with life and energy, a sea of eager faces, each one brimming with anticipation, and two souls who had at last navigated the winding paths of fate to reunite. United as one, anchored. 1 year later, the Farm of Freedom had transformed into a tale of hope and resilience. It had transformed into a vibrant, pulsating community. The fields unfurled like a golden sea, alive with the buzzing of bees and teeming with vibrant life. The raised garden beds brimmed with vibrant greens and plump tomatoes, a lush tapestry of life bursting forth from the earth. The old barn stood as a testament to change, its weathered beams now housing a vibrant workshop and a bustling teaching center, where creativity and knowledge intertwined in a dance of discovery. With the first light of dawn, they came, each step echoing with purpose. Some carried the weight of the earth beneath their nails, their very essence steeped in the wisdom of hard-earned experience. Others burdened by unanswered questions and an aching desire to start anew. In a world where the echoes of classrooms faded into the background, a group of teenagers forged a new path. They turned their backs on traditional education, discovering a profound sense of purpose in the simple act of planting seeds and nurturing life. Captivated by the miracle of growth unfolding before their eyes, veterans were piecing their lives back together, discovering the art of craftsmanship as they turned away from the shadows of their past battles. Retirees arrived with a purpose, eager to impart their wisdom, to lend an ear, and to feel the warmth of being needed once more. Children dashed barefoot through the fragrant rows of lavender, their laughter mingling with the soft rustle of petals, as they chased vibrant butterflies, baskets overflowing with ripe strawberries swinging at their sides. Amidst the chaos, Blair and Nora navigated the tumultuous landscape side by side, bound by a shared mission, united in toil and intertwined in joy. Nora had finally severed her ties with the Black Ridge Aeronautics. Her resignation sent shockwaves through the media, dominating the headlines for an entire week, yet she remained an enigma, refusing to grant a single interview. She felt no compulsion to do so. Her new legacy had arrived, nestled deep within the land's embrace, where her hands were encrusted with soil and her heart found a rare stillness. She crafted innovative curriculums for the farm's education program, breathing life into the lessons that would shape young minds. With a spark of enthusiasm, she introduced the wonders of flight theory to eager young minds, guiding them through the art of crafting paper airplanes and the marvels of solar drones. In the quiet embrace of dawn, she toiled to mend the fences that stood as silent witnesses to her labor. As the sun dipped low in the sky, she found solace in the company of women who had journeyed from shelters, guiding them through the cathartic release of journaling their sorrows. Blair never demanded that she justify her actions again. He stepped back, allowing her the room to breathe, and in that void, she blossomed, radiating warmth and brilliance. One evening, as the sun sank low and painted the fields in hues of fiery orange, Blair guided Nora to a hidden gem he had been crafting in secret for weeks, a quaint wooden pergola, cloaked in the embrace of wildflowers, standing sentinel at the edge it. Sing. Emily. Of the property, the roof, a tapestry of slatted cedar, bore witness to the creeping vines that began their slow, deliberate ascent around the sturdy posts. The lanterns hung like whispers in the night, swaying softly with the caress of the breeze. A small bench lingered beneath it, its surface weathered, yet intricately carved with care, whispering tales of those who had come before. Nora's fingers grazed the rough beams as she surveyed her surroundings, a sense of wonder washing over her. "It's beautiful," she whispered, her voice barely breaking the stillness of the moment. Blair grasped her hand tightly. "The journey is far from over." She pivoted towards him, her eyes alight with curiosity. With a swift motion, he delved into his pocket and retrieved a small, intricately hand-carved box, its surface whispering secrets of craftsmanship. Within the confines of the box lay a ring, unassuming yet exquisite, adorned with the delicate engraving of a solitary wildflower that danced along the band. "I may lack a grand cathedral or a bold headline," he declared, "but this land is mine, and you are here with me. That is more than enough." Nora blinked, her breath hitching in her throat. "I have to ask," he pressed on, his voice quivering ever so slightly. "Will you stand by my side as we weather the storms of time together? Will you join me in sowing seeds of hope, nurturing them through each season that unfolds?" Her gaze locked onto his, a moment stretching into eternity, before she suddenly closed the distance, enveloping him in a fierce embrace. Her voice, soft and trembling against his chest, broke as she breathed out, "Yes, 1,000 times yes." As the sky deepened into a dusky purple, they shared a kiss, the intoxicating scent of jasmine weaving through the evening air. As the night deepened, and the stars twinkled overhead, Nora nestled against Blair's shoulder, their fingers entwined in a silent promise. "I can still recall the instant the world faded to darkness aboard that plane," she whispered. "I believed my fate was sealed, destined to exist solely in a whirlwind of pressure, speed, and an all-consuming emptiness." Blair turned his head, pressing his lips gently against her hair. "You didn't fall," he murmured, his voice barely above a whisper. "You touched down." Nora's smile trembled, a single tear escaping her eye. "Straight into your very core." Blair gazed across the moonlit fields, where each row murmured tales of resilience and hidden wonders. Then he uttered the words he had held deep within since the moment she first opened her eyes in his guest room. Nora, you didn't just descend from the heavens. You plunged into the depths of my soul that had long since withered, breathing life back into it. Beneath the vast expanse of the sky, where the earth cradled their history and destiny, they found solace in a sacred spot, where healing had taken firm hold, and love, like a bountiful harvest, had emerged from the remnants of shattered soil. We are grateful for your presence on this remarkable journey of second chances, healing, and the unexpected love that blossoms in the most unlikely places. Amidst the deep trenches of despair, under the crushing burden of shattered dreams, and through the most unforeseen descents, the tale of Blair and Nora unfolds, revealing that what disintegrates may ultimately rise anew, transformed into something far more resilient, authentic, and breathtaking. Even the most shattered earth can produce the most bountiful harvest when nourished by trust, effort, and a spark of courage. If this tale resonated with your soul, if it rekindled your faith in love after heartache, in finding meaning after suffering, then we invite you to join us at Soul-Stirring Stories. Here, we weave stories that linger in your mind long after the last page is turned. Hit subscribe to ensure you never miss a tale that could transform your day or even your entire life. Until we meet again, hold on to kindness, nurture hope, and continue to sow the seeds of love in the world around you.